What is up? All right, we're gonna take a peek at one of my favorite creations to come out of Image Comics, Wetworks, Art for Inspiration. All right, here we go. Okay, so we've got a short stack here. I'm just gonna be doing Whilce Portacio's issues of Wetworks, his creator-owned series. Start off by saying I do know at some point he did sell off the property to Jim Lee, Wildstorm, whatever. I wish he didn't. I feel like he would have actually released a really cool omnibus had he not. Sort of like that Stone omnibus, which had come out, which I backed. Good looking stuff. So, anyways, I don't know if there's any Omni plans for this stuff. I hope there is, though. This is all great, and then maybe it can include a bunch of line art, sketches, things like that. So, preview edition Wetworks here. This book took seemingly forever to come out. This came in Hero Illustrated. I don't remember. I guess, is it issue 11 of Hero? It was a supplemental book in the bagged copy of Hero magazine. Get to see some of Whilce artwork with that super sweet Scott Williams inks over it. So cool. A few pages there. Few pages of character bios as well. I'm going to be honest, 30 plus years, I've never read a single one of these. So there you go. Those character bios, the books I have. Character bios I have not. This was the first trade paperback to come out. I think it collects the first 5 or 6 issues. Very, very cool wraparound cover. I wish that they repurposed this for some other stuff. That would have been really cool. There might be a poster or something of it, which would come out. I'm not entirely sure. But super cool cover. Weird gun. And you could tell the era, too, because they didn't do any line color holds on any of these energy blasts. They literally just use yellow, red, and bright yellow layers for that stuff. So, yeah, this one contains those. More importantly, though, it also collects. Let me turn my fan off here for a second. That might be picking up. Collects also the backup story here. I think this was in it was in Wildcats number 2, maybe. I don't know. Let's see here. So they use that variant cover right here. This was for a Wetworks variant, I think for issue 4. But terrible coloring on this. Early days of Image here. This would be, I don't even know. They just use this like light yellow color with white highlights and all that. But the artwork is sick. So it's just a couple pages here of the Wetworks team going in, cleaning house, and that's it. Also, I cannot stand the finished cover for Wetworks number 3. They just went with a digital color version of it minus the line art. Here's the line art to it. So if you guys have never seen that, there's the line art to the cover for 3. Very, very cool line art. I wish that they didn't do that. I think that they felt like they kind of were reinventing comic approach by doing that. They kind of did, but it just wasn't pleasing to the eye of an actual comic artist who draws with lines, and Photoshop was pretty new for coloring and stuff back then, to the norms like myself who didn't even work on computers back then. Little sketch gallery back here, nothing special. Nothing special. You get some character design sketches. This is stuff that's so preliminary that I don't even think that Whilce would even post this on Instagram right now. And some creator bios. All right, so we got those. Wetworks 1, crazy fold out cover. I think it's a triple fold, not a quad. Full team shot. Awesome piece. First few issues, at least, were inked by Scott Williams, and you get to see it here. And this artwork's just great. Whilce, and he still does it today. A lot of crosshatch rendering, a lot of heavy black shadows and things. This is the kind of stuff here with these drop shadows and cast shadows, which are very dark. Whilce was really the only Wildstorm artist doing that very heavily. This kind of thing right here, where he really lets the shadow indicate to lead your eye through the page. Jim did a little bit of it, but it was more like for the sake probably of speeding up the page process, where Whilce used it more for creating atmosphere with a lot of these characters. So yeah, this is a cool shot. And actually in this issue here, they did a really good job with the coloring too, with capturing the yellow, that yellow gold color that the character's skin had with this team. There's a lot of books here, so I'm going to kind of just get through this here. Some adverts. All right, issue 2 right here. It's a badass cover. I really like this cover a lot. Let's see, make sure here. Yes, Scott Williams on inks. Okay. Yeah, I feel like this book was really overlooked. I know the sales were there and people were picking it up because of image and its adjacency to Wildcats and that. But the actual books are pretty awesome. I feel like my OBS is glitching out. We'll see. Hopefully I don't got to reshoot this because I don't want to reshoot it. Got some early Rebner art there. Wildcats were pushing for the animated series back in the day, pretty early on. I think Jim and Eric Larson were the only two that actually got their stuff out there syndicated with their characters. Everyone else was being nitpicky and failed. All right. Man, yeah, these splashes are cool, and a lot of this stuff here too, like with these crazy slice, these hack and slash borders, still utilized today. I do them quite often myself. Cool, effective tool. All right. The cover. I shouldn't say I hate it. I dislike this cover very much, just because they omitted all that line art, which was so cool. Yeah, essentially what they did, they limited line art. They kind of came in and painted out some of the lines, but all that rendering is gone. They just shaded it with probably the dodge and burn tool, which avoid those at all costs, guys. Quickest way to ruin a color job. All right. Yeah, again, strong layout design, tactical team. This is a badass shot. I love this shot right here. Yep. Very excited about these characters when they first came out. Look at this, and the rendering on the skin and stuff. You'd see this later on, artists coming up. This was pre-Stephen Platt, but you can really see in here a lot of the gradient line art used and the curvature of the crosshatch detail. That Platt actually was using on the Prophet series and the Moon Knight 60. Saw a little bit of it going on in there. Yeah, these are great. So the Whilce issues, that at least for Volume 1, and I do have another video for Volume 2. I have to release this one first. I didn't realize I didn't do this one yet. Volume 2, I think Whilce only did 6 books or so, plus a few short stories, which are collected in the trade. There is a Volume 2 trade, just so everyone knows. Scott Williams again on inks, so Scott stayed with this for a bit. So, by the way, this is a really cool shot of San Francisco right here. It's a really cool shot. I know he used photo ref, but did a good job. Yeah, he was just doing really cool things with these characters. McFarlane Toys put out a handful. I think he actually put out the whole team. I probably own them all. prior to, you know, 32 points of articulation, I think they probably had like 12. Yeah, I love the rendering. Like, all this stuff here is so cool. You would get these bonus pinups in here: Wetworks, Wildcats, all these. Anthony Vu. I don't remember seeing any books by Vu. Maybe he did some fill-in issues or something somewhere. I don't personally recall them. You got an ad for Backlash. And some more artwork here. The main villains in these Wetwork books were these. That's so cool. Like, I would have killed for a Whilce Portacio Wildcat run. That would have been sick. I mean, at the time, he was pretty much just a contemporary of all the other Image founders. But back to that, the Wetworks villains were like werewolves. That's the main thing. They were werewolves. And I'm pretty sure. Sorry if this glitches out a bit. This looks like it might be. All right. So yeah, you get the fight issue right here. So issue 5, Wetworks versus Wildcats. So cool. Dare I say, he draws a Grifter better than Jim Lee drew Grifter. Spartan looks pretty sick too. Alright. Yeah, and the colors in here were so good. This is about the time, so what is this, 5 January, so this is around the time when coloring caught up, I feel like, to the artwork where it would almost overshadow the line artist, where you could get away with some subpar art and the coloring would kind of carry the book a little bit here and there. But Whilce didn't allow that. He was still bringing his A game with the pencils. I got a couple pinups here. I got Jerry Allen Guillen and then also Nick Manabat. Rest in peace. Both of them have passed. Fun art. Good artists. I don't recall this here. I think these are all pinups by Filipino artists that Whilce. He had a studio. I think he had a studio in the Philippines that he was getting some artists ready for comic work. Let's see here. Issue 6. It's actually one of my favorite issues from drawn. He really lets a lot of that negative space do a lot of work with the storytelling here with the direction. But no, this is just a very well drawn issue. I love this shot right here. So this is the issue where the Wetworks books start feeling a little more gothic with the coloring and with the character design. Vampires, werewolves, all that. You got an early Pop Mahan. There you go. Early. Later on, he would start resembling his work started looking, to me at least, very Michael Golden meets Chris Bachalo. Yeah, these are great. And a lot of the stuff in black and white is phenomenal. If you get a chance, you can do a web search for Whilce Portacio Wetworks line art and be amazed. Stuff is so good. All right, so there's issue 6. And these things, by the way, they took forever. I mean, it took probably 2 years to get just a handful of issues. Issue 7, let's see, 8, 9. Around issue 9 is when he kind of petered out on the book. I don't think, let's see, who drew this one? So this is Whilce with, I think it's still Scott on inks. That's such a great page right there. Look at that. It's fantastic. I do know that Whilce had some health issues, and I think that was one of the factors, at least the rumor that I heard while working at Image myself, which kind of led to him selling the property and a little bit of some of the turnaround on some of the work. But without knowing that, I'm not going to dive into that. There's a backup story here. I'm gonna glaze over this. Looks like Rebner. Yeah, it is Rebner. That's funny. I knew that. Jeff Rebner. Rebner did some miniseries stuff at Wildstorm as well. Let's see the credits here. I don't actually know. So yeah, Scott Williams with John Ty as an assistant. Here we go. We got a Barry Windsor Smith cover. Wildstorm Rising Chapter 7. Oh, this is going to be pain. I left the cards in here. So these things were saddle stitched with these cards. Great drawing, by the way. They were saddle stitched with these preview cards because Wildstorm was trying to sell these cards for this I think they're oversized card set, and they were saddle stitching them to one side of the book, and it's making it almost impossible to read. It's like stiff. Man, the design of these guys, I always thought, you know, when I saw the Batman Court of Owls, I almost feel like it's taken from this. The design of this character here is very, very similar. Very similar, yeah. Super similar. Great design. Look at that. Yeah, there's the card. All right, so double pager. Look how big he is, dude. It's crazy. All right. And Grail. And I do love that he did this with this whole, you know, with his energy, and you got the glowing blue. That looks so cool. It's rad. A little bit more of Wildcats action in here. I do like Whilce draws them all, like, so good. This is a cool double pager here, too. You got Warblade. Looking sweet. I would love to own that original. More cool double pagers. Maul's face right here. Man, I've lifted this a few times as far as the shading is concerned, with that bright light going right up against the character. I've definitely lifted that that cadence. Looks like a lunatic. So one thing about Whilce is sometimes he draws emotional stuff, and it comes across a little bit on the crazy ex-girlfriend side of things. All right. Yeah. All right. So then you got this here. We got a Tim Bradstreet pinup with the second half of that Wildstorm preview cards. Got those. All right. Wetworks 9, I think this is it actually for Volume 1. I think this was the final Whilce issue, and I think the book only went for maybe 30. Let's see here. Before I actually peek through here, I don't think Scott did. Yeah, so Scott Williams and JD inked pages 1, 20, and 21. The majority of the book was actually Sal Regla, who was inking at this time, was inking... try to think here. August. Probably still Backlash. Probably still inking Brett Booth on Backlash. So probably doubled down. Maybe with some downtime. And this video is glitching out. At least on my end of what I see. Yeah, very, very cool. Cool artwork. There's a lot to be learned here. There's a lot of things. So they started actually doing color holds and line knockouts and hard light layers and stuff with this. But as a line artist, there's a lot of things you can learn here with some of these energy effects that he was actually throwing in. It's almost like hot dogging, it's like hot dogging with a brush, like showing off what you can do with line weights and control. But it's sick, and you can fake it out too, like this sort of thing right here. I was doing this all the time back in the day. I do it once in a while. I reserve it now, but back in the day I would do this all the time. Like if a panel felt boring, and I wanted to make a cool a silhouette like this here, you got they call it like a ghost line, where it doesn't touch the outline because you've become married to your thick and thin outline of your characters, like this right here. Want to make it more creative, show some energy, like maybe a vibrational sort of appeal, you would do this right here. Which is funny, it's the exact same approach that he's got to this border right here in ink with the brush inks. He might not have even indicated that to be that heavy, the way that it gone, and this might actually be Sal Regla knowing that it looks cooler that way and just diving in like this kind of thing here. I had a few panels. I had Danny Mickey, the inker. I had him hook me up and do a little bit of this on it because I didn't know how to do like pencil it correctly. I didn't know, like as a young penciler, I was 16, 17. I didn't know if you're just supposed to indicate it and let the inker take care of it, or if you're supposed to fully draw every single little, every single little tick. I didn't know that, so I was like, hey, and he's like, no, I can take care of it. He goes, I've done that a lot. Yep. So yeah, Wetworks Volume 1. This is about it. I think that's the final page there. You got another Bradstreet pinup. Some other stuff back here. Frankenstein. There is also, around the same time, a Wetworks source book came out. Cool wraparound cover. I did actually only buy it because of the cover, because I was a little bit of a completist for Whilce at the time. I think this came out before this 9th issue here. I'm pretty sure. October, August, maybe not. Maybe it came out after. Strange. A lot of people came in and added, did their own renditions of his characters. I think this is a Whilce piece right here. Looks like Manabat. I'm not sure. Ryan Benjamin, Tom McWeeny. You got Dan Norton, I believe his name is. Dan Norton. Another Norton piece. Another Norton piece. Holy moly, this is a Norton pinup book. I think that is Booth on the left side. I'm not entirely sure who did this. I think it might be Brett Booth. Jet Rebner. This is a Brett Booth for sure. This double pager here. It's a cool, what's your name? Pilgrim? It's been a while. I think this is Whilce. Scott Clark or Whilce. It's one or the other. Cool shot. Scott Clark and Whilce both had this thing where they would elongate female faces, so it's hard to tell for me sometimes. This is a Manabat. Wow, that's actually held back. He didn't render this one that way. He normally kind of goes off. Another Manabat. Some panels. I don't know who did these here. More Manabat. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, there's that too. So yeah, there you go. You got Wetworks. You got the Rebirth trade paperback. There is a Hero Ashcan supplemental. And then Wetworks 1 through 9. There are other Ashcans that exist. Kind of pricey. Probably looking around the $300 to $400 range for those. I do not own those. So anyways, thanks for watching.